let's keep talking about Avery. Yeah, let's keep talking till he's set free. Oh, you just listen, I think you'll see why it matters. Really matters. Put aside the documentary, the state version of idiocracy. Oh, all their claims so blatantly get torn to tatters. I think that matters. I bet you heard about Hood last when, but maybe you ain't heard this yet. 19 more times the DNA that was left anywhere else that day. I think that matters. I really do. I think it matters. An ex-boyfriend with a Dave Planner page, and yet they did not investigate. And who knows why, and who can say why he was signed into the crowd scene that day. I think that matters. I really do. I think it matters. About the barrel that once was seized, but then returned to the Averys. The bones were found the next day, but not one photograph exists of where they lay. I think that matters. I really do. I think it matters. I could go on listing things off, 80 more things. I just keep on singing these songs till every freedom rings. I said it matters. It really, I know it matters. It could be you, I think it matters. It could be me, I know it matters. Work with Casey, it matters. I said it matters. Really matters.
Yay!
Yeah, good song, innit? Oh. Sorry, dude. I thought I'd
Have to get pause in time.
Yeah, it wasn't quick enough. Wasn't quick enough. Hold on a sec. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. And Mark, you're there as well, yes?
I'm here.
Good morning, Australia. Good morning. Yes.
It's not
Good
easy
morning,
to sit
California.
upside down.
Greetings, afternoons, early evening greetings from Galashiels.
I think you have to unmute Mark. I can't hear him.
All right. Okay.
I can. Can you hear me, Paul?
No, I'll tell you what it is. There you go. Try again, Mark.
I'm here.
There he is.
Oh, look at that, eh? You're impressed, aren't you, dude?
Yeah, you're getting there. You're starting to understand technology.
Listen, I'll either get there because of you or in spite of you.
Ah, yes, indeed. Most often in spite, I think.
I'd want to emphasize my Avery salvage shard.
There you go.
And show us your nice glass.
Oh yes, this one. I'm sorry. I hope you can see it, but it says.
Oh yeah.
I live on Avery Road. What do you think of that, dude?
Well, then I'm just going to show off a little token here.
All right. That's a nice one.
See my little Brennan Dassey keychain there.
Excellent. Yeah.
Oops.
But I think Santa might have a I live on Avery Road for Eric Cozy as well.
Ooh.
I think so.
Santa's a good guy.
I do have the one offered by the Averys, the shirt. The one that says on the back, "We all live on Avery Road."
Oh, that's nice. You've never seen? Did I not show you your glass?
I don't have a glass yet. Yeah, can it be like a beer? Can it be like a beer stein?
No, I showed you it. You can't remember.
Those little flip lids on it. No.
Right, hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. This is.
And Mr. Koze, this is also glass in homage.
Ah, sweet. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'll forever relate Abbey Road to you because of the poster in the background.
Yeah.
As I think I've said to you before, I've walked across Abbey Road.
Yeah.
And when
Barefoot?
you do, they have a live cam on it, so you can either watch it live if someone else has watched it for you, or within 24 hours you can go online and find out where you are and make a copy of it.
We got to make a coffee cup like that with Colburn's picture on it, but with Sam William Henry 582. Anyway.
Oh God.
Right, here we go. Can you see that?
Hang on. Where is
Eric Cozy on MAM. I live on Avery Road.
Hey,
I showed you that.
Hey, that looks like a good Scotch glass.
It is.
All right.
It's exactly the same as Mark's.
I like Scotch too.
Huh? It took me hours to engrave it.
It's awesome. It looks great. And I love Scotch.
Yeah, it's
so
pretty cool.
some use.
Well, I was going to say you like some Scotch. You're not so keen on some Scottish people, but
Hey, dude. Hey, I'm against Scottish people,
Yeah.
but one particular Havering Scotsman likes to try to turn me against him. But you know, it meets with minimal success, I guess.
Now, have you seen my friend next to me?
Okay, well, it
No.
looks like Arnie.
I asked him earlier, did you eat Captain Crunch? And he said no.
Oh,
I said, well, I'm just going to come out and ask you, did Eric Koza eat Captain Crunch? And he said yes.
That's not talking to him now, though, is he?
That's odd. I actually thought that was a mirror you were looking at there, Paul.
I don't know why I put up with this. I don't know. Every single video, Havering take them.
Well, you invited. Jeez.
Listen, I've had a hard day today, right? I was explaining to Mark earlier, right? I had to get up at 4:30 this morning to take Eunice to the airport so that she could go with her friend to Fuerteventura, which is one of the Canary Islands, right?
Uh-huh.
So we had to go and pick up Jackie first and then go up to the airport, right, to get her there for 6 o'clock. But here's the best of it, right? The plane doesn't go out till 9:30, so she doesn't actually need to be there until 7:30. Do you know what she said? She said, well, we've paid for this VIP lounge, so we're going to get there when it opens at 6 o'clock, just so that she can have a few more swallies. Anyway, and then I had a load of lessons to do, and I've been across today to Innerleithen, and it was an excellent installation of the provincial Grand Lodge of the Borders Office Bearers, and I am now officially the steward representing the Gala Shields Lodge. So I was really pleased, and the Grand Master Mason himself, the head wizard, if you like, he was there as well, and really nice fellow he is too. So I've had a really superb day. So come on, I'm gonna put this question to you. Last night, fantastic that you joined us, dude, to have a chat with Juan and Chad. But by the way, somebody asked what is our connection to the pair of them, and we'll discuss that maybe in a wee while. But my question, as you know, was
Chad and Juan.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. We'll get to it later.
Yeah, no, it was okay. My question was this: that certainly when Juan was talking, he painted a pretty bleak picture, a picture of despair when it comes to Manitrox. So going in. Sorry.
Despair is easy. It's easy to do.
Yeah, but okay, but going in seniority. So So Mark goes first because he's a bit older than the dude. Should we be in despair? Should we sort of? Is there any hope in this case?
If we're talking about law reform and improving the justice system in the US, we shouldn't be in despair. We should be encouraged by the level of public awareness, both internally in the United States and externally. And I think I could even quote Dean Strang when he was asked by someone, what do we do about this? He says, we talk about it. And I think it's very, very important that we keep this conversation going. It can be, if you like, concerning what we see, but that should give us the ammunition and the fuel and the energy to actually make a difference. And whilst no one's looking at Stephen and Brendan's cases as some, aha moment in law reform, but it's a long journey for Stephen in particular, and there is much to learn, not just about the mechanics and the micro aspects of the case, but also about the Wisconsin system and the US system, which I've said in the past, and forgive me if I'm being a little repetitious, has not truly evolved. Most things in life need to evolve and get better. And
still in the dark ages.
Sorry, what was that?
We're still in the dark ages, kind of, when it comes to criminal justice.
In some ways, yes. Although I was very encouraged by that Wisconsin Supreme Court appeal, Supreme Court ruling matter that you raised in one of your videos in the last 24 hours.
The Brady one.
Where the Supreme Court basically emphasised that the focus needs to be on disclosure, not on discovery. And the obligation on the prosecution, or let's just say on the person holding the material that should be disclosed, which could be defence, of course. But that's encouraging. And my other big level of encouragement in the passage of these cases were the amicus briefs in Brendan's Supreme Court application, albeit that they didn't take the trouble to hear it. But when you read those things, you realise the quality of mind that there is there in the United States at the senior level of the court system, and those involved in it at that level, and that needs to, if you like, effervesce into a reform state of mind that passes down to the lower courts. And that also, without getting too far down the track about this, also is in the minds, or should be in the minds, of every individual citizen, because your fundamental controlling and influencing right is the right to vote. And people need to be aware and get out there and vote and speak out and vote based on knowledge, not based on apathy. So I am encouraged. And I think this is probably one of the things that keeps outsiders like me involved, because there's an opportunity to do some good stuff here, in addition to obviously addressing the issues of Stephen and Brendan.
Yeah, I must admit, the Brady thing, particularly the CD, the way in which the state hid, concealed, and did all that, it just beggars belief to me. Every year here in the UK, we have what's called the FA Cup. Every year, every now and again, you'll get a team from a much lower division will beat one of the top teams. But it doesn't matter. By the time you get to the final, it'll be two top teams. Very rarely do you get a team out of the top division. We've never had a situation where the team from a third division has appeared in a final. Usually it's two of the top teams from the top league that go through. So you've got the state of Wisconsin with all their investigative powers. They develop all this evidence. How are Dean and Jerry supposed to investigate those DVDs? I mean, regardless of whether they had the software to do it or not, that's irrelevant. It's just the fact that how are they meant to try and even play on a level playing field against the state of Wisconsin?
I mean, just on that point alone, because it's a really important point, and Eric Jose constantly mentions this, and that is the fact that that non-disclosure, that withholding of the CD and the material that supported the CD, not only was a blatant non-disclosure under Brady, it also had the effect of, if you like, mitigating or eliminating the need for Veely to be called in as a witness in the trial. He should have been called in. Had that CD been available in the obvious way it should have been to Dean and Jerry, not only would have they had that the knowledge that was contained in there would have significantly impacted Bobby's testimony or his reliability as a witness or his credibility as a witness, but it also would have brought Veely in as a witness to be cross-examined. So all of that is just playing games to pursue a conviction and has nothing at all to the discovery of truth. And it's inexcusable. And the other element to this, which goes to law reform, is that the prosecutor, in this case, Mr. Kratz, who is the lead player in that side of the game, because they enjoy this immunity thing, they can behave in a way without consequences. And I mean, it's one thing to be immune because you make a silly mistake or you're incompetent. You can deal with that in a separate way. But when you knowingly withhold evidence and you knowingly conduct yourself in a manner that is contrary not only to the statute law but also the code of conduct of prosecutors and other law personnel, then you shouldn't be immune. You shouldn't be immune from prosecution. And the very fact that they are creates an attitudinal characteristic that says, we can do anything we like and bugger you, Jack, because we're not going to get into trouble for this.
Right. And why worry about the rules? Because they don't really apply to us, right?
Correct.
So why worry about it?
It creates... to go back to your analogy, Paul, with the FA Cup, if there was a player on the field who can never be ruled offside because he's immune from being offside, guess what he's going to do? He's going to play offside. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. And that has to change. Until you get these grassroots changes to about accountability and professionalism, then that's where you've got to start this reform at that really basic level. And I really am pleased that the Wisconsin Supreme Court took this view that Brady needs to be focused on disclosure, not on discovery, because that's what it's about. It's about having everyone playing by the same rules. The prosecution had the benefit of the CD and the report and of Veely's report. They had the benefit of that. The defence didn't, and they should have. Exactly in the same format and the same style and the same accessibility that the prosecution had, it wasn't passed on to the defence. That's an unfair playing field. The prosecution are offside, and they need to be penalised for that. And it doesn't matter, in my view, whether there was a willful intent to do that or a neglectful intent. What matters is that the person whose life's on the line, his liberty's on the line, he suffers irrespective of whether it was negligence or willful intent. Yeah. And so that issue about, did they knowingly do that, right? To me, that's irrelevant. It's information they had that was entitled to be in the hands of the defence, let alone the associated issues about the scurrilous behaviour about describing what was the Dassey family computer as Brendan's computer. Yes. And saying it had nothing of evidentiary value. I mean, seriously. I mean, they're just absolute culpable activities that should not be immune from discipline.
Yeah. See, what I'm worried about is that I'm hoping they're going to put a stop to the prosecution being able to hold on to that evidence for 8 months and then to hand it over 3.5, 4 weeks right before Jenny's due, right leading up to trial, right when all the deadlines are due. I mean, right when the defense is the most busy, and to hold it for 8 months and then hand it over at that time. I mean, I hope the courts are going to look at this and go, yeah, that's kind of fucked up. What the hell? I mean, I'm hoping the courts are going to take that attitude because it is absolutely messed up. It's totally messed up. You know,
And
I mean,
I
wouldn't care about the CD. I'll put it this way. I wouldn't care about them not handing over the CD if they had handed over the DVDs 8 months prior or 6 months earlier. If they had handed over that information early enough for them to be able to actually look at it, then I would look at it differently. But the way they did it, they should have handed over the CD at the same time, because literally they had no time to really process and look at that. So yeah, sorry, go ahead.
And I think the rules actually say you have to hand it over in a timely manner, right? I think I'm pretty sure I've read that in Kathleen Zellner's filings or her.
From what I understand from like Travis and other lawyers, like there's courts that allow this. They'll look at it and go, okay, yeah, they gave you a chance. There are courts that will, and I'm hoping that the courts will start to look at it a little differently here, because this is clearly this is clearly the prosecution playing games, trying to hide something. And it's just, yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to get you to had Dean and Jerry had the information about the computer, the whole game would have been played completely differently. Yeah.
Game over.
And that's the bottom line. You can get these lawyers arguing all they like. The end result is surely that the situation would have been completely different had Bobby Dassey been a suspect in this, and the state and as people have pointed out, why is it?
Or if they'd at least been able to impeach his testimony,
Yeah. But dude, I was. When you had to go off, I said about the fact that Juan had painted this picture of a bit of despair, and we never got the chance to hear your. You're getting annoyed now.
No, I crushed my bottles. Sorry.
Yeah, you're okay. What I wanted was to hear your opinion of could the Stephen Avery Brendan Dassey case, could some good come of this? And I particularly
think good is already coming of it.
Well, I was going to
because of two filmmakers, a lot of people have developed a passion for criminal justice because of Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey, and people are starting to question the way that their prosecutors and their defense attorneys and everybody in the criminal justice system, how they conduct themselves and moving forward. I mean, it's caused a lot of people to take an interest. So just in that sense, it's been a huge boon. Stephen Avery.
Well, I'm looking at two people now that are so fired up about this that of course there's going to be. I had a pupil came along to me this morning before I went up to Innerleithen, and she said that she'd watched all 2 series of Making a Murderer since I'd seen her like 2 weeks previously.
Right.
And she just couldn't understand how on earth are either of those guys in prison. That's the bottom line. Nobody can understand what once you've watched it.
Stephen, I can understand why he's there. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I can understand why. There is a weight of evidence against Stephen. It's fishy. It looks like hell. It doesn't look very convincing to most of us, but it is evidence, and it was
wonky.
Wonky. There you go. So, but yeah, that's a big part of why Stephen's there. There is actual evidence, as questionable as it is, but there is. But that's what makes Brendan so clear cut. There is no physical evidence that ties him to any of it. No, none. Because they were busy making sure it got pinned to Stephen. They weren't thinking about pinning it to Brendan back in November. They weren't thinking about that. Brendan was an afterthought when they realized that all their planted evidence was looking wonky, to use the technical term. So when they realized that, when they realized it was all looking wonky, suddenly then they're looking at Brendan going, okay, maybe we can use him to shore this up and get our lead pipe cinch against Stephen. But it was already too late because they were well past November at that point and couldn't go back in time and plant evidence against Brendan. So to me, that's kind of the obvious reason why we don't have any evidence that Brendan was there. And it's one of the things that calls all this into question. But to answer your question, with Stephen, you can kind of understand because as wonky as it is, there is a weight of evidence that was used to put him in prison. So it's a little more explainable with Stephen. But I would say Brendan is the Brennan is just the crying out. It's just that case is just crying out, saying, "I am wrong. This is wrong. How the hell do you people not see that this is wrong? Just look at it." That's the one that cries out, I think, even louder than Stephen's case. But I think, honestly, the investigation here was a complete sham, is a total farce. And there is significant question of Stephen's conviction as well.
Well, yeah, like I've just said, you are one of those guys that's out there doing videos along with a few other people that are doing these videos, and it's just making awareness of the situation. And so for me, I think the future could be good for even for Wisconsin. Even for Wisconsin, I think they could get their finger out and actually deal with, in effect, there's a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a zit that needs bust, and it's festered, and it's time.
Pimple popper.
Sorry?
The pimple popper.
What?
Don't worry. Continue.
Different languages, three different continents all at once, eh?
And we all speak English. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I know, right?
Some of us speak English.
Well, I don't know what I don't know what the Scotsman's speaking sometimes, but
Dude, the Scotsman doesn't know what the Scotsman's speaking sometimes.
But there's an important, deeper message in this, and that is that, by my reckoning and experience of being in Wisconsin, Wisconsin's a beautiful place. The people, the general population are wonderful, hospitable, just everyday good American folk. But they've allowed their democratic control to be vested in the hands of a few by not being more active about these issues, and they've empowered the few by their silence and by their lack of interest, and that dynamic has to change. Yeah. If you've got a politician who now knows they have to actually account for, let's say, 90% of the population who go out and vote, let's say if that were true, then it's a different attitude in the way you approach your political life than when you go to 50% of the population or 55% of the population, of which you only need half, right? So you effectively only have to be loved by about 25% of the population to be in control. Why? Because a huge minority of the population don't participate. And therein lies one of the foundation flaws in the system. And you end up getting there's an old saying in politics, you get the government you deserve, right? And if people get out there and vote, especially the young people, they're the ones who inherit the future. They need to get out there and be loud and say, this is not good enough. And by my understanding from the things I've seen, and together with you, Richard, is that the young people are not supportive of this approach at all. And we need to encourage them to exercise their authority through their vote.
Yeah. I think the youth in Wisconsin are more willing to question things. I will say that. I mean, and what Mark was referring to there is we got approached by a few young couples while we were in Wisconsin last year. Actually, one while we were eating our breakfast one morning, a couple came up and was talking to me and Mark and asking us about Stephen and Brandon and telling us about when they watched the documentary and stuff. And it was really great. Even though they were, most people would probably not like having their breakfast interrupted, but we didn't mind. It was awesome. This young couple came up to talk to us. So it was cool. And I mean, and then there was another young couple that met up with me just as I was leaving. Unfortunately, they met up. They literally showed up at just like about 45 minutes before I had to leave for the airport. So I was kind of bummed, but got to talk with them a little bit. But I mean, same thing. The young people there are certainly more willing and in a position to question this, I think, than some of the older crowd who have been, tainted by the media coverage and things like that. So.
Well, I would go back to this comment I made a while back was that almost it's like if you go against, the DEA, the legal system, it's almost been unpatriotic, isn't it, for some people?
Some people take that view of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
but that's silly. We live in the
yeah.
land of the free, the home of the brave,
Yeah.
where
Yes,
we're allowed to
that's
speak
right.
up and speak our mind. I mean, it's un-American to suggest that speaking up is un-American. I mean, that's the truth of it.
And with liberty and justice for all.
For all, yes.
Right.
Not just the privileged few, not just the
Correct.
rich and the wealthy, not, so yeah. So
But it happens.
unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
It happens. But
Okay, moving on. I'm not going to keep you much longer. I've got another question, though, and that was somebody questioned the video last night and said, well, I've met you, and as in me and you, Mr. Rosie. How did we come across, or what is our connection with Chad and Juan Tescrew?
connection?
Yeah.
Other than I just been their supporters, my connection to Juan is I've watched his videos. Literally last night was the first time I ever spoke with Juan directly.
Yep.
So I don't really have any connection to Juan.
I thought that was cool. I thought you did a great job. I just sat back and let you chat away because that was thank you for that. And I mean that seriously. I'm not hating. I'm honestly.
I get it.
Occasionally.
Oh, God.
But and then as far as Chad goes, Chad and I have, we exchange messages through Messenger and stuff, and we talk about the case sometimes. He knows that I'm not on board with his criticisms of Jerry and Dean. He knows I'm not on board with that. I've made it clear to him I'm not on board with that. And I think he's fine with that. He's willing to respect the fact that I'm just not on board with that part. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of things that he says that I actually do see merit in. For instance, one kind of poo-pooed it, but I still think it's a big deal. The 900 prisoners that were petitioning the Innocence Project at the time when Stephen was getting all this notoriety, he was making the whole state fall in love with wanting correct wrongful convictions. And this was a wind that the DOJ there in Wisconsin was not fond of. They were not cool with that wind blowing of let's get all these people out. These people are going to want compensation for being wrongfully convicted. I mean, this was a problem. The DOJ itself was going, oh crap, this is going to change the way we practice law in this state. People are going to start wanting us to, they're going to start wanting us to pay attention to what we're doing, like what they did with Brendan. They're going to want us to start paying attention and not coerce people accidentally on purpose. And anyway, so I mean, they just knew that this was just going to create more scrutiny for them in doing their jobs, and so they were against it. And I truly, no matter. Juan kind of scoffed it off as, oh, they wouldn't care about money, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But they would care about their job becoming harder and more difficult to do in their own minds, right? So, I mean, so that's one thing I think that Chad is onto there that kind of is significant. It's, to think, if even only say 20 or 30 of those 900 squirted out, right? Yeah. And we're suddenly on the streets looking for compensation. That's still going to be a huge amount of money. Yeah. So
especially if those exonerations, should that be the case, ultimately reveal behavior that wasn't supported by insurance, right? As was the case in Stephen's case. The big red sore part of Stephen's civil law case was the fact that the insurance companies have stepped away and said, no, you're on your own, Manitowoc, you're on your own. Kasurik and Dennis Vogel, you're on your own. Now, you can't tell me at that time that those other 900 or whatever it might have filtered down to of being meritorious didn't have that same question about it for the individual people involved in those wrongful convictions. So I think the money side, I agree with you. I think the money side had a big influence in that. But from my point of view, I go back to a bit repetitious. Go back to the point is, why are these wrongful convictions happening? What's causing that to happen? Why? And you come back to some issues about the immunity of prosecutors, the pursuit of conviction over truth, the privatisation of jails. These are all elements that encourage, without, I'm not going to say deliberately, although in Stephen's case I say, and Brendan's deliberately, that encourage behaviour that leads to wrongful convictions. And the stats will tell us across the United States there's about 80,000 people in prison that are wrongfully convicted. That's where the problem lies. And the attitude of Wisconsin to Stephen's case, not wanting that to bubble into a bigger problem, is a real issue. But you know, you've got to burst the pimple, if we continue the analogy, to get it to heal, right? And that's what's going to happen here. So,
can I just interject just one moment? Can I just mention that this is a hot topic, dude? Some of the ladies are getting rather excited at you getting excited.
Yeah, I saw the comments.
Yeah. And do you know what? It was
when I get excited and get up on my soapbox and start getting all passionate, the ladies get a little bit hot under the collar.
Well, yeah, I've noticed a couple of times. I've thought he should maybe turn that air conditioning on. He's getting a bit red in the face. No, a serious question now. Favorite Stacey Seabrook song. We're going to do a quick Seabrook song, then finish off. Okay, so with a bit more chat. But favorite song, dude. Your favorite. Come on.
My favorite Stacey song.
Yep. Too long.
I'm gonna go with Brain Fingerprint. Them all.
Mark.
The Illusion of Justice. No question.
I think we're gonna have to play them both.
DJ Paul.
Yeah, here we go. I'm going to recharge my glass. I'll be back in a sec, okay?
Oh, God, that was why you wanted to play it. You want to go to the fridge.
2 years and 7 a.m. Now here I go again. To confine innocent men in a 10 by 10. All fades. All without the men deserve. But fear breeds silence in Manitoba. You don't say nothing 'cause you know your cops. But someone knows something, yet everyone plays ball. I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all. Everything about the case, it was suspicious. I hope the Biden chief of justice.
Hey, can you hear me while this song's on? I can't hear you though.
I can hear you because you don't have your mic muted. I muted my mic so they could hear the music better.
Oh, okay. Well, let's have a little chat over the top of this as well. I think we should do our best in the next few months to encourage as many people as possible to come to the rally. It's a really, really significant contribution you can make by showing your support and coming to the rally. And
I'm looking to do a video this soon with Brandon Maddox and Stacey. Maybe we'll get you in on that, and we'll all talk about it on a video together. But go ahead and finish what your thought.
Yeah, so just from a practical point of view, you know, Manitowoc and its surrounds is not a huge area. It's reasonable size, so accommodation will be not unlimited, put it that way. So if you're planning to come and you need to stay in hotels or whatever, plan ahead. Make sure you get accommodation. But it's really important that people do come and show their collective support to the cause.
Right.
And like you and I did, we got to meet the Averys, and we got to have a better sense of everything that was going on there. So it's way beyond just the physical presence. It's just a sense of understanding of the cases and what went on in that town,
right,
and in the surrounding areas. So rally is my call.
right. So just in case people didn't pick it up while the song was playing, I'm planning to do a live to discuss with Brandon Maddox. I'm going to try and get Stacy in on it. I think I'm going to go ahead and involve Mark here, where we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about rally. We're going to be talking about other things. Brandon Maddox wants to talk about other things we can possibly be doing to create some interest and some noise and some chatter around the guys. So this is it's funny because you brought this up, Mark. It's on other people's minds, and and I've been thinking about putting together this live, and so it might be tomorrow. Actually, I might go ahead and bump it up to tomorrow to do this, but we'll sit and talk about it. We'll figure out what we can do to create more awareness. I know Brandon's got some ideas, like putting like magnet, sign magnets on the side of like big rigs and stuff, so that as they're driving down the road, they're he has another thing about a certain color porch light on, for everybody on a certain night to all put in a certain color porch light to show. So there's some ideas so we can toss those around and we can get an idea of how we want to go. Another one was to work with some of the truckers so that they all like blow their horns at the same time, like on a given day or whatever. It's just, to create some awareness. So there's some ideas being thrown around. We'll see what comes of it. But that's a conversation that we can have take place here, because there's other people involved or interested in having that conversation. So
yeah, sure. One of the things I would point out is that probably the best way of supporting Stephen Brendan is to get likes of Eric Ozzie on MAM, get that channel to be probably the biggest. That's definitely something that both myself and Mark are currently working on, as maybe Eric Ozzie doesn't realise, but we are working at trying to get your channel out there, because I think rather than having kind of gimmicks, I think people will be drawn in, just as people have commented. They love Eric Ozzie's passion for this. It's clearly something that means a lot to him. And what I was going to say was that passion is also there in Chad Keller. I've told him that myself. I've said, look, you clearly come from this from the point of view that you want to make a difference. You want to do something about it. And I see a lot of parallels between Chad and yourself, even though you might not agree on certain issues of the case. But I think there's a lot of grey areas there. So yeah, we've got to work at getting the the awareness of Eric Ozzie up, and certainly that's, as I say, something that we'll be working towards. I apologise, Mark. When the music plays, it plays via a speaker. It's not something that I've got control of. So when it was playing, when you were talking, it's all getting spread out. So that was the reason why the dude was saying about it. It's actually playing. You probably thought I was some sort of professional DJ that knew how to sort of get the music to play, and then leave you two to have a wee chat together. And I do apologise for that, because I am not that technically gifted.
Help.
Help.
I can tell you, just on your earlier point with Eric Ozzie's channel, I know when I first became involved in this whole process, once I sort of got initiated with it through my daughter, I went searching on social media for reliable information that I felt comfortable with. And when I came across Eric Ozzie's channel, that's really drew me in, because there was somebody who was bothered to do the deep research. He wasn't interested in short, quick headlines for moments. It was based on both passion and knowledge and a commitment to the cause. And that was an extremely compelling thing. And
Thank you.
I'd say 75% of what I know, at least about this case, I've learned because of that channel and what that's encouraged me to do as a consequence. In fact, my involvement even in these video type chats is as a result of that same process.
Yeah, yeah, I would totally agree. It was one of those things that you scan through all the various media channels. There are some excellent, really good people out there doing videos. But for me, Eric Cozy just shone way above the rest of them. He was the first person that I actually contacted to discuss the case. And I actually I've said this before, but I said to him, I'm thinking about doing a video, and he said, do a video about your thoughts on making a murderer. So I did a video, and I said, I think I did a second one because that terrible what's the Sinister Smurf.
Oh,
Terrible person. Absolutely awful person. I mean,
yeah.
she's got so much to answer for. but then I did a video and I said, look, this is basically going to be my second and last one. And you, dude, were like, well, no, Paul, keep going. It's it's important. And you have no idea. You have no idea, dude, the impact that you have on people's lives by being who you are.
I guess not, because I'm just being who I am.
Mark we
absolutely, and he does it because he believes in the injustice and the injustice that's gone on here. So, and he makes his comments and his views in a respectful manner.
Yes,
which is one of the things that I've turned away in the early days from other commentators who were just interested in being blasphemous and quick to judgment.
Well, what they tended to do, they tended to cuss a lot. Now, cuss in America, not kuss. Kuss road is a different thing. We will discuss that at a later date. Because
we slipped into havering.
As I was explaining off air earlier,
and I'm going to blame you, Eric Jose, for releasing the havering beast on us all. Right? God, come on, push the button. Push the button. You know what does the haver mean? It means to talk a load of crap.
Oh, that's it. I'm gonna cue it up.
I can mute you. I can mute you.
I know, because I'm on your channel. See what it is to have control? See?
I dare you. I
have to find it first.
Fingers on the button.
Hold on, I have to find it first.
Hang on. We've got Eunice on the line from Morocco.
From Morocco.
Oh, stop havering.
All right, almost there.
Oh, okay. Well,
get ready to mute me.
Yeah.
No. You. No, you.
No. Eric Jose, what Eric Jose does. No, you.
So
dang it, I can't find it.
So hold on a sec, Mark.
There it is.
Hold on a sec.
Eunice, what does to haver mean? To talk a lot of nonsense. To talk a load of shit. Yeah. To talk a load of crap. Yeah, like you do. No, you mean it's not me? No. Eric Jose, like what Eric Jose says. No, you. No, not me.
I love that. Hey, Mark, did you see the one he sent yesterday of him and Eunice? Oh my God, I love Eunice. At the end of that one, she's like, "What are you trying to say about Eric Jose, Paul? What are you trying to say about Eric Jose, huh?"
He's not here to
defend himself.
So hold on a second. What was I played? Was it TikTok Manitrack I played?
You played Brain Fingerprint Them All.
And that was your choice.
That was mine. You're supposed to play Illusion of Justice now.
Yes, Illusion of Justice. I'm gonna say from myself and my good friend here, Timmy?
Yeah, Barney.
Barney? Who?
Looks like Barney.
Who?
Your little dinosaur looks like Barney.
My little dinosaur. Where's my dinosaur?
What the hell is that thing in your hand? That thing looks like in your hand.
What?
Lord. Yeah, I'm not going to. That's it. I'm done. What are you going to say about what's his name again?
This is Shaun the Sheep.
Shaun the Sheep. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Shaun.
Oh, it is Shaun the Sheep. Wow. Okay. Didn't recognize him.
Well, it's not actually Shaun the Sheep. It's if you turn him over and look on the other side.
Careful with the tennis phrase.
Every time.
We're not in New Zealand, you know.
So we're gonna finish off. I'm gonna say cheerio because I'm keeping Mark up. It must be some ridiculous hour in the morning for Mark.
Yeah, and I got a job to get to, so
yeah. Thank you so much, Mark. It's been a week since you were here. Sat next to
we're doing the famous ruse interview that we had a week ago.
Oh yeah. Did you like the look on Stacey Seabrook's face when he goes,
"Oh no,
oh man," and then that response? Oh, hold on a sec. I'm gonna.
Now I'm gonna appear. Yeah.
Exactly. Very clever.
And dude, just you listen. The dude abides.
The dude abides.
The dude abides.
Okay.
Hey, don't get my tune. Hey, Mr. Haver, don't.
I'm going to play that, but here's to you, you cold ass honky.
All right.
Here we go. What we playing again?
Oh my God.
Illusion of Justice.
The
Illusion of Justice. Okay, here we go.
Wipe the dandruff with so much swagger.
Cheerio.
How cool is this song?
Oh, they say you can trust us. Oh, but they use the best for an illusion of justice. Oh, they say you can trust us. Oh, but they use the flesh for an illusion of justice. It's indefensible. Oh, now what they did, convict an innocent man twice with a 16-year-old kid. Yes, we can't turn away, pretending all the pieces fit. Oh, but if we turn away, we let them get away with it. Oh, they say you can trust us. Oh, but they use the badge for an illusion of justice. Oh, they say you can trust us. Oh, but they use the badge for an illusion of justice. Of justice. We need a wrecking crew to tear this whole thing down. Oh, did you hear the news? There's a new sheriff in town. Nothing needs touching one. Not the one supported by them clowns. All the superhero one. She's gonna tear the house of cards down. Oh, they say you can trust us. Oh, but they use the bad for an illusion of justice. Oh, they say you can trust us. all but they abuse the flag for the illusion of justice. We need a wrecking crew to tear this whole thing down.
Well, for those who are wondering why I wasn't singing along, it's because it's being played from Paul's side, and if I try to sing along, I'll be out of time and it'll sound like crap.
It took you a while to realise that, didn't it? It took you a while to realise that.
God save our brave.
Don't get straight, no, no. Well, I ain't getting straight. Don't get straight. I ain't getting straight. I'm sick of the suffering. Can't stand the pain. Don't get straight. Well, we know the story. All ain't the way they said. We can see plain as day. They got to Brendan's head. Totally insane. Don't get strange. Everything they got, questionable evidence gathered by many walks, all been big such sin. While they're in the game, don't get strange. Don't get straight, no, no, no. I ain't getting straight, don't get strange. I ain't getting strange. And that lion, that cheated, that predatory sweaty, anything he says, you can throw
away. Legal stain. Don't get strained. Legal stain.
Oh, baby, we finally found out who to blame. Don't get strange. Cheers, guys. Catch you soon.
Good night, Scotland. See ya, LA.
Catch you soon. Cheers, guys.
There you go.
So I think I've muted your mics. I think, yeah, I've muted Mark. I've muted. There you go.
Mark. I'm still here.
Yeah, I'm here.
There he is.
I've been waiting to hear Eric Jose sing "God Save the Queen."
Oh no! No.
Now,
nobody wants
something. That's something we should go back into the archives and drag back up.
Yeah, let's play that once every chat. You've given me
another live. As soon as I go to work right now, there's going to be another live, and they're going to be playing me "God Save the Sing" and "God Save the Queen." So stay tuned.
Yeah. I'd rather have my sex organs pickled in vinegar than listen to you.
All right. Well, it's been fun, guys.
Take care.
Cheers.
See you guys.
Bye.